Hi, Joe. How are you?
Lovely.
I'll shake your hand.
Oh.
Hey, congratulations. I couldn't be happier for you.
Well, I'm pretty happy myself.
I bet you are.
Kind of unexpected.
It's an exciting thing that years ago we would not have dreamed of anything like this, would we?
I was usually getting fired.
Uh-huh.
Well, it's a great evening.
I still remember you playing your records on the air.
Frank Sinatra, James Rosley.
And one you didn't like, Peggy Lee, and the one, let's see, what was the name of that Peggy Lee number? I'll think about it. Oh well, that's okay. Well, what do you have to say about all this?
I think it's amazing, the number of people here, and I was really surprised to get this nomination. I'm very happy about it. I got a letter that I'm going to read later on from the program director. And he lists all the things I did wrong one morning. And it took up 3 pages to fill it up. I'll read about it. I kept it for 30 years.
Oh, well, I wish you well. Have a good time.
Thanks, man.
Okay.
See you later.
Somebody take it.
Chris, see if you find Bob.
He was always curious about how anything operated. He was always
Born and raised on the Indianapolis East Side, it wasn't difficult for Joe Piggott to make a career talking about home. His early life included Holy Cross and their Crusaders gang, Cathedral High School, and he eventually became a Butler Bulldog. World War II called and the Crusader boys spread around the globe. His first recognition in his hometown paper came as a teenager when the Star reported that he jumped from a second-floor window to save his grandfather from a fire. Broadcasting seemed like a natural thing to do, and a young Joe hooked up with WSAL in Logansport to kick off a 4-decade career. Next step, WLRP in New Albany, where this jack-of-all-trades employee was touted as Southern Indiana's favorite sportscaster. The turning point came in the 1960s when Joe was hired by WFBM Radio and Television. He would spend hours in the announce booth and co-hosting programs with notables Lou Sherman and Jim Gerard. He was on the streets of Indianapolis during some difficult days for our country, which included the assassination of a president.
And he was an awful good president, no matter who has ridiculed him in the past.
Well, I really feel bad about it. I really do. I think it was shocking to me, and I just don't know what to think about it.
I feel bad. He was my president, and he was a good man, was doing the best of his ability. He was for all of us.
And he could easily stray from the serious side of life.
Well, it's a good movie.
Oh, like, good night.
Yeah, she's got to go back to the newsroom. We're going back to the Holiday Inn. That doesn't sound right.
The Piggott family was growing, with 9 kids in 11 years. A streak, he says, ended when they finally got a television. But the station capitalized on that big family when they moved Joe into the morning radio show and teamed him with news reporter Glenn Weber. The Piggott-Weber thing was years ahead of Seinfeld, with a show about nothing. 2 guys talking about whatever came to mind. The people of Indianapolis loved it, and laid-back radio was a hit for several years. Eventually, though, that format wasn't as appreciated by management, and then Joe was off to WXLW, where he won much acclaim for fundraising efforts following devastating tornadoes, including recognition by Governor Otis Bowen. The desire for warmer weather led him to West Palm Beach. But you can't take the Hoosier out of a Hoosier, and it was back to Fredstown, Indy, and WIBC, where he partnered with Heckman and Gary Todd on a show he once competed against.
When this hostage situation was going on
Right.
That morning, I was trying to get a hold of Karitzis are hoping he would call me when I was working at the other radio station. Instead, he called Heckman.
Oh, really?
Oh,
So
yeah.
that was always kind of that.
He knew class when he saw it.
Yeah. Have you always been a little bitter about that show?
Well, not really. I've forgotten about it.
Retired, but still an Indianapolis guy, his legacy includes 2 sons who made a career in broadcasting.
This is really special for me. Dad, I'm honored, but more than that, I'm proud to present you this plaque and to nominate you for induction in the Indiana Broadcasters Hall of Fame.
It's all mine? Okay, take the plaque here, wait for it. Reason I'm sitting down, I got a couple of sore legs. So it's not Ole Joe anymore, it's Old Joe. But I'm very fortunate to be here, and I must have done something right, but according to a memo I have here, I did everything wrong. Now this is the actual memo sent to me on May 22nd, 1973, and I've checked it all these years. Why, I don't know. But with 3 pages, it states all the mistakes I made in 3 hours. And there they are, really. Well, I'm not going to read them all, but one of them says, we will not direct attention to our mistakes by comments on the air. Example, you said, whoops, pushed the wrong button. What's so bad about that? And then, he says if there is a mistake, make sure that the best defense is not to say anything about it. What the listener does not know will not hurt you. I don't give a hoot. You know what? Saying whoops, you push the wrong button. I still say that at home when I hit the wrong button on the switch, you know, watching television. I say more than whoops. I made a lot of mistakes, I guess, along the way. I remember doing a football game in New Albany to play-by-play. And I had to run it going from the 40-yard line to the 50, to the 55, to the 60. Well, for you know, football fans, there ain't no 55 or 60-yard line. Not even in New Albany. But then there were good mornings, too. I remember when we had a terrible tornado. And the station I was working for was giving away a prize of $20,000. And a listener called in, it was Saturday morning. The listener called in and said, why don't you give that $20,000 to the victims of the tornado? And I said, well, I can't do that. But I'll tell you what I'll do. I'll stay on the air until we raise $20,000. 1 minute later, the manager calls, are you out of your mind? You know, we didn't know whether to get one call or none. But fortunately, the calls started coming in. And I'll make a long story short. Instead of $20,000, we raised $100,000 for the victims that day. They were great people. The great audience we had, I loved all of them. And the people I worked with, all good people. Well, most of them. So, and thanking people, I got a few to thank. They're taking up half the space out here. Would my family please stand up? That's just part of them. I think I have all the work for Thanksgiving dinner and charge them $50 a plate, right? Well, and then I don't want to take up too much time. But before I go, there is one thing I want to talk about. And that's an old buddy of mine, Glenn Weber. Glenn and I did this Pickett Weber thing for a number of years. We had a great time. we weren't serious about anything. And I recall Glenn would always say, those years that we worked together and raising our family together were the best years of our lives. And I agree with him. Well, Glenn passed away last month. And if I could, I'd like to ask the members of the committee that selects the people that get these awards if they would sincerely remember Glenn next year. So I think, boy, if anybody deserved it, he did. So they say he's gone, but he's certainly not forgotten. So we say, we miss you, Glenn, and we'll see you in the morning. Thank you very much, folks.